Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I just want to run through a couple things with you. We have today and then just 2 more weeks left of instruction. So this week, we're going to go through a quick daily discovery on symbiosis in nature. And then this week I have 4 folders for you, and you only need to choose one activity to complete for credit this week. Lastly, I'm just going to go through, if you owe me anything, here's what you can do about it. So we've been talking a lot about ecology and biodiversity and how species interact with one another. And I just wanted to throw out this new term, symbiosis, which just means an interaction between 2 organisms living in ecosystems. There's 2 types of symbiosis. There is something called mutualism and there's something called commensalism. In mutualism, both species benefit from their symbiotic relationship, hence the term mutual. In commensalism, usually what you see is that one species benefits from their relationship, but the other is unaffected. So I'm going to have you look at the 2 images I have here. On the left, you'll see the shark that's being followed by what are called pilot fish. And when the shark feeds, the pilot fish will kind of pick up the scraps. And then on the right, you have a honeybee pollinating the flower in order to get the nectar from the female parts of the flower. So I just want you to take a minute and look at these and then ask yourself, okay, which one of these is mutualism and which one is commensalism and why? On the left, the shark and the pilot fish is an example of commensalism, because typically the shark is unaffected by the pilot fish, but the pilot fish get a meal out of it. So that would be commensalism. The honeybee and the flowering plants is considered mutualism because the flowers have the benefit of reproduction by the honeybee and other pollinators, and the honeybee has the benefit of getting the nectar and bringing it back to the hive for food. All right, so what are you going to do this week? Choice 1 is a virtual activity called CSI Wildlife, where you're going to solve 2 cases of elephant poaching. So I want to show you how to get to that by taking you to Schoology. In the June 3rd folder, choice number 1, this is a really fun activity. You're going to participate using various techniques to analyze DNA in order to identify species and locations of 2 cases of elephant poaching in Africa. And then there's a quick check-in quiz for you to take when you're done. So I have the link here for you. And as usual, if this doesn't work, you see this sad face, you're going to click in the upper right corner and it's going to open in a new tab. I would recommend doing this anyway, because what I can do is I can launch the interactive in one tab, and this is going to open to a page that looks like this. But what I can also do is I can access the quiz while I go through the activity, and I can see what the questions are asking. So for example, I would be looking for what a keystone species is as I go through the interactive. So the interactive looks like this. You'll play some really short videos, and the whole purpose of the activity is you'll go through 2 cases where you have found ivory from elephant poachers, and you're trying to figure out what species and what location they came from. I think this is a really fun and cool activity. So that would be my number 1 recommendation. But if you're not feeling like doing that activity, you could go here to choice 2. Choice 2 is reading chapter 6 of A Spring Without Bees and taking a check-in quiz. If you choose that option, a couple things that I want to go through with you. We're skipping 2 chapters, not because they're not important, but because of time. So chapter 6 is called The French Think They Know Why, and where we left off last week After reading chapter 3, you had all proposed some great ideas about what you thought was killing the bees. And sorry, my screen fell off here. Okay. And some of those ideas that you included were habitat destruction by humans, diseases like bacteria or a virus, humans moving the bees too much, mites, climate change, pesticides, chemicals. Some of you said unknown reasons, or some of you had a combination of these reasons. So I figured we would just jump to chapter 6 so we could figure out what is actually happening to the bees. So the 2 chapters that we skipped over really just rule out a couple of options. Chapter 4 is a study that rules out cell phones being the cause of the loss of the bees. And chapter 5 rules out mites or viruses as a global problem for why colony collapse disorder was happening. These were all based on various studies. Some of them are controversial, but for the most part, beekeepers agree with the fact that it's not the cell phones, it's not mites or viruses, it's not genes, stress, or poor nutrition on the bees, and it's not genetically engineered plants. But what they did find going into the chapter you're going to read this week was there was a connection that organic bees tended to not have colony collapse disorder. There was also a controversial study about a new virus potentially being the cause, but many beekeepers said that that was not likely. So going into chapter 6, if you would like to read this as your choice this week, you're going to learn about, okay, well then what is happening to the bees? The next choice, if you are a review book kind of person, you can complete topic 7, numbers 1 through 29. And then the last choice is to complete a virtual lab called Acid Rain. So how to access those, if we go back to Schoology real quick, you only need to choose one, the CSA Wildlife, the Spring Without Bees chapter 6 and that particular quiz. If you would like to do the review book assignment, all you need to do is send me a photo of your work through email, Remind, or Schoology. I'll correct it, return it, and if you get an 80% or better, I will award you credit for choosing that. And then the Acid Rain activity, I just want to show you how to access that. This is a pretty cool interactive. Again, you have to click this little button in the upper right corner to open in a new page. Map of the United States, and you want to look at where in the US is acid rain so most severe, and what kind of connection do we have to pollutions. So on the left, you have some information you're going to want to read through. What is acid rain? What causes it? And what kind of problems does acid rain lead to both in the environment and for humans? And then a little bit about what acid means in terms of pH. Down in here, if you keep clicking, you'll find the procedure. So basically what you're gonna do is you'll find you'll take out a rack of test tubes, and then it asks you to click on the test tube here, and it's going to measure the pH, which is 5. So then what I would do is, this is Arizona. My scale over here has a pH of 5 being this peach color. So I'm going to find Arizona on the map. I'm going to click that color, and then I'm just going to end up color coding the entire United States based on pH. So next would be California, 5.4, California, brown. Pretty straightforward. And then when you're done, you'll go back to Schoology and you'll just take the check-in quiz for that activity. All right, so you only have to complete one of these. So pick one that interests you the most. Last but not least, we are really close to the end of the year. So if you owe me anything, we only have 3 assignments left. This one, June 3rd, that's today, is due Sunday. I'm gonna put out another one June 10th, and then June 17th is a Wednesday. I have to put out a lesson that day. So June 17th, I'm going to put out an assignment, and it has to be due that day. So just plan accordingly. When all is said and done by June 17th, you cannot have missed more than 4 assignments. You need to have all of your assignments done by June 17th. If you miss more than 4, it is impossible for you to get credit for the class. So what can you do? Well, there are 4 activities this week. So if you choose more than 1 activity, I will replace missing assignments. So say you wanted to do the elephant poaching activity and you wanted to do the acid rain lab, I will use one of those extras and it will replace an old assignment. Otherwise, access the missing work folder on Schoology and get to work. All right, that does it for this week, and I will be around if you have any questions. All right, have a good one.